The number one thing people come to me for when it comes to messaging is how do I change my messaging so I get higher quality leads and more sales? It's the number one thing. And it makes sense, right? Because we all need more sales and more leads if we want to build our business. I mean, it's kind of the reason why we do what we do, right? It's why we put out content. It's why we write emails. It's why we host webinars because we want more sales. However, most people struggle making more sales, especially in today's marketplace, because it's so crowded. There's so many different offers, so many different promises. And honestly, 99% of people talk logic when they try to sell. And that is literally, I mean, honestly, it's literally what kills everything. And so we have to change what we do so that people come to their own conclusions. So instead of explaining to someone and using logic why they should buy, we need to communicate in a way that gets them to come to their own conclusion that they need what we have. And I'm going to break that down for you in, quite honestly, under 15 minutes. So if that's interesting to you, keep on listening.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. This is the fourth episode of our series all around conversion messaging. And today we are talking about unstoppable sales and high quality leads. Now, we're going to continue with our conversion messaging conversation. We're talking about all sorts of different things like words you can use, different parts of the brain, and all of that good stuff. Now, sales and high quality leads are one of the biggest reasons why you probably want to start adapting conversion messaging into your business. When you understand conversion messaging, it's not only going to help with those things, it's going to help with everything inside your business: ads, emails, bigger open rates, sales pages, all that stuff, right? But when it comes to sales, there's certain things that we have to focus on. Now, if you're experiencing a problem where it feels like every time you talk about your offer, it falls on deaf ears, people aren't really paying attention, no one's really listening to you, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill, then this episode's going to be for you. If it also feels like you're attracting terrible leads, like just freebie seekers all the time, this episode is also for you. But I do have a little announcement, and that announcement is you actually don't have a freebie seeker problem. Most people think they do. You don't. You have a problem turning freebie seekers into sales. That's the problem. And that's exactly what this episode is designed to do, is to show you how you can do a better job taking freebie seekers and turning them into customers. And it has nothing to do with more bonuses and features and things like that, all the stuff that we think we need. In fact, that's one of the biggest mistakes you can do, is try to sell using logic. We think that we're going to be just using logic to go and sell, right? So this means like you're relying solely on features and benefits, but also information. And I'm sorry, but information is one of the worst ways to sell online. But we've all been told and trained that if you give your best stuff away for free, people will be like, oh man, if that free stuff is that good, I wonder what their paid stuff is like. And that's some of the worst advice that you can possibly get. And the reason why is because delivering information by itself, like that, if that's like the main thing you're doing, the only thing you're doing, it doesn't gain the things you need for someone to actually buy from you. Information, just delivering information, does a terrible job with creating connection, with building the 3 levels of trust. All the things that you need for sales to happen don't happen when you just deliver information. So although information delivery is important, you should use it to some degree. You need to be careful with it. But it's not something you should be doing all the time, because you miss out on all the things you need in order to close a sale. And this is probably why a lot of you are attracting really crappy leads, or have a problem even attracting leads, and definitely have a problem buying, because you're relying on the type of information that you're delivering to do the selling for you. Because you think, if I just help them with this one issue, and that's the other problem, is people sometimes get on webinars or sales presentations or 3-day workshops or whatever it may be, your sales mechanism, and they just think, okay, this is the promise, I need to deliver on the promise, and then I'll just transition to the pitch, and they're just gonna buy now. And you don't even think about the information you're teaching or delivering. You have no concept of how that information is actually helping someone make the buying decision. How is that information removing objections? How is that information speaking to the automatic decision-making part of the brain, because we all know that all buying decisions are usually made subconsciously before they are consciously. So when you're using logic, in other words, the conscious mind, so again, you're using the features and the benefits and you just state what things are and you're like, logically, this makes sense. Look at all this good stuff that you get. It doesn't really help influence the subconscious mind. And conversion messaging is all about how do we take your skills and knowledge and communicate it to the decision-making part of the brain. That's what this is all about. And that's what we're here to do. And that's what this episode's all about. And that's what helps drive the sales. Okay. So there's a couple tools that I'm going to go over with you to make this more clear and to help you implement some of this inside of your business. So the first one is realizations. When we start to help people make realizations, they start to get more trust in a couple different ways. So there's 3 levels of trust you have to build. There's the know, like, and trust, like the connection-based trust. They have to trust you as a human to human. They have to trust your ability or your process's ability to solve their problem. And then they have to trust their own ability. They have to trust their own ability to follow your process. You need all 3 types of trust. And helping them have realizations, things that they've never realized before, is one of the best ways to do that. And so this is why sometimes I like using content that's like 3 signs or 5 signs, right? So if my audience is course creators and I had a piece of content that said 3 signs your messaging is actually what's causing your sales problem. And then I said sign number 1, and I got very specific on what that situation looked like. And then I got it very specific on another situation, another one. What happens is they read that and they go, oh my God, that's me. I have that situation. Oh, and they make the realization themselves, oh, I have a sales problem because of my messaging. And that's very powerful. Why? Because they came to the conclusion themselves. And that's the difference. When you speak from the logic side of the mind, you're explaining. You're explaining to them, this is what is right, this is what is wrong, this is the way it is, yada, yada, yada. But when you're speaking to the decision-making part of the brain, you're not explaining anything to them. You're helping them come to their own conclusion. Shit, I have this problem. And that's powerful because to them, that's when they start having a mind-blowing experience. I finally get it. Oh, I can see it now. And when you get someone to the point where they realize that they have the problem that you solve, do you think they're going to leave and go somewhere else? Or do you think they're going to want to learn from you? They're going to want to have you come and fix it for them. Realizations are very important. And I know I just talked about one realization. The realization I talked about right now was realization of the problem. But there's so many different types of realizations. There's realizations of the cause of the problem, realizations you have the problem in the first place, realization of the mistakes they're doing that aren't working, that they think are working but aren't, right? Like even today, I help, hopefully you guys have the realization that information is not the way to sell, right? That was a realization that I broke down that you're like, oh, I got it. Hopefully, hopefully that's what happened, right? So realizations are very, very important. But another tool that you can use is relevancy. And I talked about relevancy a lot. And it's relevancy that makes them feel heard, but also trusted. It trusts you. And this is the way it works. And I know some of you may have heard this doctor example because I use it all the time, but I'm going to use it again because it just really proves the point. And I want you to imagine that you had stomach pain. And the stomach pain starts at 7:30 and goes to 8:30 every night. And it's been going on for 2 weeks. You go to 9 doctors, and 9 doctors have no idea what's wrong with you, right? You're probably going to feel sad and depressed. But then you go to the 10th doctor and you don't even say anything to the 10th doctor. They take one look at you and they go, let me guess. Stomach pain? Did it start at 7:30 and end at 8:30 at night? And you go, yes. Oh my God, how did you know? And they go, oh yeah, you have stomach loop. Well, good luck with that. And they walk away. What are you going to do? You're going to chase that doctor down and you're going to be like, doctor, well, how do I fix it? What's the treatment? What's the solution? And that doctor never said they had a treatment, never said they had a solution. They never showed you their degrees or their certifications or testimonials or case studies or all the things that you think you need for sales. They didn't do any of that. What they did is became hyper relevant to you by talking about your exact symptom, the exact length that it's been going on for, the exact situation without needing any prompts. So what happened is you started to trust their ability to solve the problem, because what happens is the mind goes, the only people that are going to know that information to that level are the people that know how to fix it. They've been there before. They understand this. They've seen or treated people with this thing before. So that's the power of relevancy. It makes people feel heard. It makes people feel understood. It makes people feel like you're talking directly to them. And then conversions always go up when you do that. And I try to do this even in our ads, because if I'm talking about very specific problems or situations that people don't want to be in, that I can fix, and I'm going to fix on my webinar or whatever it may be, I'm going to start attract a higher quality person who comes in already trusting me, number one, but number two, someone who actually has the problem that I can solve, which makes sales a lot easier. The next one is that you need to make it feel like what you're talking about is just so perfect to them. And this is why relevancy is so important. When you can talk about things like their identity, incorporate their identity, you can incorporate things like their very specific problems. You're describing exactly what they did to try to fix it that didn't work. And the more relevant you become, the more safe they actually start to feel with you. And I can tell you right now, safety is a very basic human need that we want inside of any relationship. And this is what you're doing. You're building a relationship with your audience. So the more relevant your messaging and communication is, the more safe they're going to feel with you when it comes to solving their problem. And that is a very, very important thing that you need to focus on. It makes them feel heard and understood. And then the last and final thing that I want to go over with you guys today is we also have to present a solution that they don't have to think about. So I don't mean offer, I mean solution. So when you get onto your webinar or your sales mechanism, you're going to teach something, right? But what most people do is they just go right into the teachings and they never actually build trust in the solution. They just start teaching it. So here's what I mean. If I wanted to teach people how to create really engaging content, and I said, hey guys, there's 3 steps that we need to go through to create really engaging content. However, there's something that I need you to understand. I know a lot of you have probably heard that how-to content is how to build an audience online. But when we look at TED Talks, when we look at best-selling books, we look at people like Simon Sinek, Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, none of them are just doing tutorials. Best-selling books don't do tutorials. Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, all these people, they're not doing tutorials. TED Talks, they're not tutorials, but it's some of the most engaging content out there. So what I want to show you today is exactly what all of them are doing to create really engaging content. And what I just did is I presented the solution before I taught it. And I got them hooked on it. And I got them hooked on it because I built a case for it. I used metaphors, analogies, I used counterexamples to get them to realize and again, come to their own conclusion and a realization of, oh my God, I never saw that before. How did I not see that? Oh my God. Yeah, how-to content may not be the best way to do this. So I was able to use the conversion messaging elements to get them to come to their own conclusion that they want the solution before I ever taught it. So if you guys want to learn more about this, we have a 3-day event coming up called Mastering Your Conversion Messaging, which is going to teach you how to be able to do this inside of content and honestly all over your entire brand. And I'm sure you're going to see an ad or hear an ad either at the end of this episode or maybe you already heard one. So go to that link. You guys can register for that. But more importantly, we have a PDF for this episode that you can download. That's going to have the whole recap. It's going to have all the information about this episode. So you can download it, take it, start to use it when you craft content webinars. So if you need higher quality leads and more sales, you have that resource available to you. All you need to do is go to learn.brandonlucero.com/CM PDF. So learn.brandonlucero.com/CM PDF. So go get that now, and I'll see you guys on our last and final episode next week.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.